Hi everybody and welcome to Lab 9. We're going to be setting up remote access. And we're going to be setting up remote access in our first part with Microsoft Remote Desktop. So let's get started. First thing that we're going to do is go to PC10. Up here, click on PC10. And we're going to press Control-Alt-Delete. Jamie has been logged in, so we're going to go ahead and type our password in. Hit enter, and we are done with step 1. So in the Windows search bar, we're going to open up our menu, our magnifying glass here, and we're going to type in settings system, and we want to select system. Okay, do not select system information. So in here, we're going to go to remote settings in step 3. Click on that. And we're going to make sure that the remote tab is selected. That is step 4. So now on the remote tab, under remote desktop heading, we're going to allow remote connections to this computer. And then you're going to click OK, and then select users. Step 5 is done. We're going to click add, and we're going to add Renee. And click OK. Renee is now added to the remote desktop users group. We are done with step 6, 7, and 8. We're going to click OK, and then click OK again. In the System Properties window, we clicked OK, and now we can close all windows. Now we're going to sign out of Jamie out of PC10 by clicking the Start button, or the icon, and then sign out. Step 11 is done. Now we're going to go and switch to DC10 and hit Control-Alt-Delete. We're on step 12. We're making sure that we're logged in as the administrator, domain administrator, and enter our password and hit next. Step 12 is done. We are going to minimize Server Manager. We will not use it. However, on the Windows taskbar, you can click on the magnifying glass, and then you're going to enter Remote Desktop. And we are going to select Remote Desktop Connection. So in this computer field, we're going to type PC10. We're going to simulate this. A word to note, you can also use the IP address of a server or a workstation to connect to it. And we are going to click Connect. We're being prompted for a password. We want to select more choices. We want to use a different account, and we're going to enter Renee. So we checked 16, we are on 17. We're going to put Renee's password in and click OK. We are done with step 17. We'll wait for our connection. And now we are logged in. Sometimes you will get prompted for certificates. You can click yes to it or no. Notice that the entire is filled, so we want to return to the remote desktop window. Is filled. On the toolbar at the top, you can see this is our toolbar for remote desktop. And now we are connected to PC 10. So if you want, you can minimize this, and if you want to ever get back to it, you can just click on it here and it brings it back. So we return to the remote desktop window, and in here we want to type in, hit our magnifying glass and then type in settings. And hit enter. So we have basic information about it. We just wanted to verify that our computer name that we are logged into on this desktop is PC10. Check off step 21. We can close this, and then we can go ahead and open up our search and then type CMD to do our command prompt. Check off step 22. And 23. And then basically we can type in ipconfig to display the IP address of the system. And so we are going to enter the IP address in this box right here. What is the IP address of this system? If you look at it, it is 10.1.24.101. We are not concerned with IPv6, just the IPv4 IP address, and hit score. Step 24 is done. Okay, so on the toolbar here at the top, this is the remote desktop toolbar. You can click the X to close this and disconnect the session. Click OK. And now you are done with step 25. And 26. You now are on the desktop of DC10 on this virtual machine. You have completed this part of the lab at this point. Okay, so now we're going to confirm the configuration of SSH on Kali Linux in this part of the Setting Up Remote Access Lab. So let's get started. First thing that we need to do is change from DC10 to our Kali Linux environment. And we have to sign in manually. And once we've logged in on step 1, we want to open up the terminal emulator. I'm going to preemptively check off step 2. There we go. Now, in the terminal emulator window, we're going to type in ATP list open SSH server command to verify that open SSH server is installed. So let's take a look. And we see that it is installed. We can take a look here, installed and in automatic. So we are done with steps 3 and 4, and we are going on to step 5. So we need to determine whether password authentication is enabled in the /etc/ssh/sshhd config SSH configuration file. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this, and we're going to type this full command in. So it is cat space /etc/ssh/sshd underscore config the pipe key. Sorry, after config there is a space, pipe, and after pipe, which is this here, there's another space, and that is for grep. Then we have password, space, grep space password. And we have password authentication. Once we have, just make sure the entire command is correctly done. And once it is, it looks good, you can hit enter. And we have yes. So we're seeing an output that says yes, right here on that first line. So it is configured. So now we need to make sure that the SSH server is running on Kali by using the systemctl status command. And we should be looking for something that says active. Yes, we have active and running right here. Move that column. And now we can press Q to quit and get back to our command prompt. So now we need to determine the IP address of the Kali Linux system, ETH0. And we need to find it by looking at the next first interface, by entering the command IP space A space S ETH0. And so we need to look for the IP address of this system. And our INET right here is telling us what our IP address is. 10.1.16.66. So let's go ahead and check off step 8 and then hit score. And now we are done with this part of the lab. Now we want to go to our next part, which is establishing an SSH connection. So now what we're going to do is we're going to establish an SSH connection between our Windows system and our Linux system. All right, so first thing that we're going to do in step 1 is to change over to PC10. Okay. We're going to hit Control-Alt-Delete, and we see Jamie's was logged in, so we're going to just type our password in to re-log in as Jamie, and click the arrow to proceed with the login. So on here we have our SSH utility, and it's PuTTY, and PuTTY is a free program. It's open source. You can get it for free. You can download it, install it on Windows, Mac, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on PuTTY desktop, and then we're going to put the IP address. Okay, we're done with step 2. We're on step 3 on the PuTTY configuration screen right here where we have, host name or IP addresses. This is where we're going to put the IP address, and we're going to put 10.1.16.66. And we are going to verify that 22 is present in the port field, and we should leave everything as default. Click open. We are on step 5. And now you're going to get a security alert, and you can click accept. Now we have a login window. We've established this correct connection. So now we are going to, on step 7, enter root as the login. And then now we're being prompted for a password in step 8. We're going to enter the password for root. And it's not going to display it, so we're going to hit enter. And now we are logged in. So now what we want to do is find out the host name of this Kali Linux server. So we're going to enter the host name at this prompt to display that information, and then hit enter. And now we see that it is Kali. So now we're going to enter make the remote to create a working directory on the Kali Linux server, or make a remote directory. So we're going to make a folder on the Kali Linux server. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry. So once we hit enter, go ahead and click score. We can validate the task. And Kali remote exists. Task complete, so we can check off step 10 and move on. So we could type exit to terminate the session. There's another way that we can have a remote connection. We could use the SSH built-in tool that comes with Windows. So what we're going to do is click on our magnifying glass here to start, and we're going to type in CMD. And we are going to select the command prompt from the results. And in here, we can enter the command SSH root root at the IP address, and it will connect using SSH, the built-in SSH tool. Hit enter. Now it's asking if we want to continue. We want to type yes or no. You can use the type text or type yes and hit enter. We are done with step 12 and 13. Why is it asking for a password when we are right now, when we are prompted, before we were prompted with a username and we had to type in root? Why not? And the reason is that we can send with this SSH space, this is the username that we can connect with over SSH, and at indicates what server we're going to, and this is the IP address of the Kali Linux server. So let's go ahead and check off 14 and enter the password for 15, and we should sometimes it will be wonky. Hit your there we go. Oh, I busted it. That's what I wanted to do. So let's go ahead and try entering it again. And now we're logged in. Gets a little funky when you're doing it this way. Now, if you want to disable the automatic connection message, we can do the touch login, touch space tilde slash hush login script, and that will do that. So let's validate our lab here. We just ran that, so we're done with 16. And we could type exit to terminate the session here. Okay, so now step 18, we want to enter SSH root again. Now we want to check off 18, click your type text. Let's try this again. and we're logged in. We just did not get that initial message that we had right here. 19 is done. Let's go ahead and terminate the connection. You're done with step 20, and you can check these toggles box off. And let's go into our comprehensive questions. Okay, so we're at the end of the lab, and let's go ahead and answer these comprehensive questions. The remote access tool SSH is limited to Linux systems only. That is false. We just did SSH on a Windows computer. Okay. On a standard Windows system, remote desktop is enabled default for all users. That is false. What functions can PuTTY, the tool PuTTY, be used for? Well, it could be used for a lot of different things, and one of them will be serial console access, which if you've taken a networking class, you will use that. Network file transfer, definitely can use that. And it's also a terminal emulator, so we can hit score. It is not a web browser. When initiating an SSH connection, what is the typical command line interface? Syntax. And remember we said that we could type in SSH space username at, and then it's the server name. So click OK. Underscore. What is the default form of authentication supported by SSH? And it is a password. Alrighty, we are done. If you go in, you can check off your graded lab parts right here. And then you can go ahead and go to your submit screen. And thank you for watching.